The man wanted to do something in the elevator, but the woman, without any sense of decency, grabbed him by the groin. A wave of excruciating pain overwhelmed him, and he immediately begged for mercy. The woman let go, cursing as she walked out of the elevator. However, the next moment, the elevator malfunctioned, and the man was trapped inside. He quickly called for help from the security office, and they assured him they'd be there in a few minutes. But he waited for a full 2.5 hours without seeing a single person. Not wanting to sit idly by any longer, the man decided to try prying open the elevator doors with his bare hands. Despite his efforts, he could only manage to open the steel doors a small fraction, definitely not enough to squeeze through. Strangely, it was supposed to be work hours, yet the hallway outside was eerily empty. Just as he was feeling bewildered, his wife suddenly called, saying that someone was knocking on their door and she was terrified. The TV was broadcasting news reports showing people going mad in the streets. Although he had no idea what was happening, the man, unable to help himself, could only try to comfort his wife over the phone. After hanging up the phone, he checked his phone half skeptically, half credulously. It seemed like there was indeed a riot happening. Just as he was about to calm down with the smoke, he heard urgent cries for help behind him. People were running wildly, trying to save their lives. A woman fell in front of him, the same woman from the elevator just moments ago. She looked terrified as she pleaded for his help, even attempting to get into the elevator. But in the next moment, she was dragged away by some mysterious force, followed by horrifying screams. The man was petrified, utterly bewildered by what was happening. He cautiously approached the steel door, when suddenly two monstrous creatures, resembling zombies, lunged at him. The man's heart skipped a beat as he collapsed to the ground. Fortunately, the gap in the steel door was just enough. Otherwise, the consequences would have been dire. At that moment, a noise diverted the attention of the creatures, drawing them away. Still shaken, the man quickly got up and called the security room, demanding to know why they hadn't come yet. But the security guard had no clue about what was happening. He mentioned that the maintenance staff had gone silent. Before he could finish, the call was abruptly cut off by the guard's agonizing screams, indicating he had become the zombie's meal. The man was on the verge of collapse when the phone rang, his wife calling. Just as he was about to answer, he was suddenly grabbed by a pair of large hands and pulled forcefully. It was the woman from earlier in the day. She had turned into a zombie. The man struggled with all his might, tearing off the handrail from inside the elevator and thrusting it at the zombie until it finally collapsed. He cleaned the blood off his face with bottled water from his bag, but the woman's lifeless stare was still haunting. Once again, he used the steel pipe to move the body aside and covered the bloodstains with documents. Just then, footsteps approached from outside. It was a new employee from the company. The man cautiously called her over and then pulled out the steel pipe, hoping she could help pry open the door. After several unsuccessful attempts, the pipe accidentally fell to the ground, attracting the attention of the zombies. The woman panicked, trying to get into the elevator, but it was futile. With the zombies closing in, she had no choice but to flee. However, what surprised the man was that she actually managed to kill the zombie. This move left the man dumbfounded, but he was relieved to see the woman narrowly escape danger, and the two exchanged a relieved smile. However, the danger wasn't over yet. Suddenly, two more zombies appeared, viciously attacking the woman. In the midst of the man's agonizing screams, the woman became the zombie's self-serve buffet. Witnessing one person after another die before his eyes, the man fell into complete despair. He hurriedly called his wife seeking solace, but the entire city was engulfed in the zombie virus, and the situation on her end wasn't optimistic either. Before they could exchange more than a few words, zombies broke into their home, followed by his wife's piercing screams. Feeling utterly helpless, the man could only bury his head in his hands and cry inconsolably. At this point, he was already numb inside, deliberately provoking passing zombies with sounds. Several zombies were lured by the noise, and the man vented his anger. Then, cries for help echoed down the corridor. It was his secretary. The zombies were drawn towards the sound, leaving the woman with no choice but to hide in the office. The man attempted to create more noise to distract the zombies, but they paid no heed and charged straight in, claiming another life before his eyes. He couldn't hold on any longer. Two zombies lunged at him, and the building plunged into darkness as the power went out. Suddenly, the sound of gunfire rang out, and the zombies fell one by one. It was a heavily armed soldier. The man clung to this lifeline, desperately seeking help, The soldier approached, but the steel doors proved too stubborn to pry open by hand. They needed to find the generator. Leaving behind a pistol and a walkie-talkie, the soldier followed the man's guidance to locate the generator. Although the power was restored to the elevator, the steel doors remained stuck. The man attempted to pry them open with his hands, but the noise attracted more zombies. He raised the pistol and swiftly dispatched them. Just as he sighed in relief, screams echoed through the walkie-talkie. It seemed the soldier had encountered a dire situation. With his last hope shattered, the man was engulfed in despair, placing the gun barrel in his mouth, ready to end it all. However, just then, from the top of the elevator came the soldier's cries for help. He was still alive. Using a steel pipe, the man pried open the elevator's roof and rescued the soldier, but he had already been bitten by a zombie. The soldier revealed that the virus leaked from a laboratory. He showed a photo of his wife, expressing his deep love for her and his relief that she was safe. Hearing this, the man felt overwhelming shame. He realized he had been a terrible husband, betraying his wife and even arguing over trivial matters earlier that morning. But now, he didn't even have the chance to argue anymore. The two talked late into the night, but the soldier gradually lost consciousness and lunged at the man, now completely mutated. With no other choice, the man reluctantly raised his gun, forced to send him off. However, the gunshot attracted even more zombies, and they barricaded the elevator doors shut. With the handgun out of bullets, the man had no option but to pick up the shotgun from the ground. As he fired, the powerful recoil caused him to stumble and hit his head on the elevator, knocking him unconscious. Dazed and confused, the man was startled awake by a burst of gunfire. Approaching cautiously, he found that the zombies outside the elevator had been cleared, but the shooter was nowhere to be seen. Just as the man was puzzled, the phone suddenly rang, and to his surprise, it was his wife calling. She hadn't died. A soldier had rescued her, and she was now safe. Overwhelmed with joy, the man was in tears, but halfway through the conversation, the phone suddenly died. But the news of his wife being alive reignited his desire to survive. Using the soldier's body as a foothold, he managed to remove whatever was jamming the elevator, finally opening the doors. Crawling out of the elevator, he stepped out of the building into a scene of devastation, with bodies strewn everywhere, like a hell on earth. He spotted a bottle of yogurt on the ground, picking it up to drink, but suddenly, a corpse on the ground feigned being a zombie. Ready to face it head-on, the man was surprised when the zombie was shot down by a soldier from afar. They had cleared out all the zombies, stopping the spread of this dreadful virus.